Hello, everyone. This is Coach Clayton, and this is my Women's Empowerment Interview episode. And today we have Heidi as our guest, and she's going to discuss her amazing journey of overcoming personal and professional obstacles in her life. Welcome, Heidi.
Thank you so much for having me. Hello.
Hello. Heidi, just like I said, I created this video podcast just so that as a place for women to join each week so that they can be inspired, empowered, especially with so much going on in this world. I wanted it to be a place of positivity. So again, I just want to thank you again for joining me. Your background really intrigued me, and I just wanted to, chat with you, find out some of the obstacles that you had to overcome, and, just for inspiration. So, Heidi, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm Heidi. I'm actually based over in the UK, in Bristol, in the southwest of England. I basically, at the moment, I am an empowerment coach. That is what I do, and I am. It's very exciting working with women to support them with their confidence, gaining clarity about their lives, and the courage to really go after what they truly want in their life. Sadly, it didn't always start out that way for myself.
So Heidi, can you tell us a little bit about your background and some of the personal obstacles or professional obstacles that you had to overcome?
Yeah, of course. So I am Heidi. I live in Bristol in the southwest of England. And at the moment I am an empowerment coach for women, which is an amazing thing to do, and it's an amazing job to have, helping women with their confidence, gaining clarity on their life, and having the courage to go after the things that they really want to do and become and be, free from any kind of limitations. But yeah, my background is actually in corporate. So for the past 7 years, I was working in corporate events, corporate sales, very hectic, stressful, high intense environments, and very male dominated environments as well. So some of the kind of core obstacles, as probably many of you women watching as well will know of, are obstacles such as, working in that kind of male dominated environment, trying to sort of be someone you're not without realizing it. You get sort of swept up in that environment. You feel like you have to act like the men in the organization. You feel like you have to be really ballsy and loud, and to be able to get a word in, or to be able to be that person that gets the promotion or gets the raise. And I always felt like I almost learned how to be confident due to that environment, because I was an ambitious person. I knew that I wanted to, go up the ranks and get my promotions and get more money. The ambition sort of helped enhance my confidence. But in that sense, it was difficult, because in hindsight, like it really wasn't in alignment with who I was. But you know what happens, you come out of university or college and you kind of just fall into a job, and then you just sort of kind of propel from there. And I hadn't really ever thought about what I wanted to do. I studied theatre at university, so it was a very open degree that wasn't really guiding me anywhere particularly. So I was just like, yeah, I need money to pay my bills, so I'm just going to work in this office and then we'll see where it goes. But during that time, I had to deal with quite a lot of aggression from men. So there was quite a lot of kind of very early on. I saw chairs being thrown in an office environment. I've had things like walls be punched in front of my eyes, like very, very very heavy, toxic masculinity happening in my very early days of my job. So I think for me, I sort of kind of got that thick skin very early on, because I thought, this is the only place I've ever worked. This is what the workplace is. I need to toughen up. I need to be a man. I need to like deal with all of this. And I used to go home and cry and just be like, I'll just let it out at home and it's all fine. So yeah, there was kind of physical obstacles I had to kind of overcome, just what I had to like say, toughen up, get more confident. know that I wanted to achieve. So I was like, well, my main aim is to achieve and do more. So I did have some role models, which was really lovely. I had some female role models which kind of helped guide me. Some of my managers were female, which was very positive, and helped me overcome some of those things by pulling me out of certain environments or helping me find a more positive part of the workplace to work in. But yeah, and then I think from that moment, that was kind of somewhere in my subconscious, probably knowing that someday I'll use that in the future, where I was like suddenly becoming that same sort of role model for people in later environments. So I changed roles and changed organizations quite a few times in the 7 years I worked in corporate. And every time, the reason I would leave is because I wasn't aligning with the company. I'd have a bit of a spat with, management, or I didn't believe in they'd have certain values, obviously corporate values, but then what you actually see behind closed doors wasn't really aligning with me. And then in my last organization I worked for, I was very privileged to be offered a kind of promotion very early on in my joining of the organization. They saw, which was lovely, they saw something really, obviously something really vibrant in me, and they really wanted to kind of pursue that in me and really support me in kind of moving on and moving up. But unfortunately, we both realized in both parties that it was way too soon. I'd been in the organization 8 weeks and they were already trying to increase me, and I barely got one foot in the door in the first role before I was already propelled into a higher level. And unfortunately that led to full burnout. I was working sort of 12-hour days. I was trying to impress. I was trying to do everything I thought I had to do in order to kind of stay afloat in this role that I really was struggling in. And sadly it got to a point where I just broke down to one of my managers and just had to sort of just be myself for once in my career. I had to just let it out, cry we had a Zoom call and I was working from home, and I just cried my eyes out. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Like, I can't do it. Like, I just feel really lost. And I just, and the next day I went to the doctors and I was signed off work because from stress, from anxiety, like, obviously there was just so much going on. And I didn't come back. Like I came back, but I didn't really come back full time for 4 months. And then just as I came back full time, the pandemic hit. So so it was a very challenging time to almost have to be honest with myself about how I wasn't coping, because that's almost a whole thing in itself, like dealing with that mental health block and thinking like, oh my gosh, the shame. People are going to be like, she can't do this job because she's anxious and she won't be able to deal with this high pressure environment. And it's sad because I think, yes, some tiny part of it, yes, there is an element of that. But in my head, that's what I sort of had this spark of like, it shouldn't matter what you have. Mental health suddenly became a really big thing for me. And I was like, and I'm a really big advocate for it. And I just thought, no, just because I'm struggling with anxiety should not mean that I can't handle this job. And if that's the case, the job is not right. Like, there needs to be some give and take in this role, because clearly it is too much for the average person to be doing every day. It's intense. And what I did to overcome that, actually, the organization were very good with me, to be fair. Like, I was very which I know not everyone gets. I appreciate in America as well. I think it's quite hard to get that support from mental health. But in England, we were just sort of getting to the point of having schemes available for companies to kind of buy into. And my old manager from the previous role said to me, like, you're a really good advocate for this. Maybe we could develop something in-house. So I actually helped the organization develop a mental health scheme. We had mental health first aiders. I trained as a mental health first aider. And that's sort of what I really realized, that I was more passionate about helping other people and empowering other people. And I was I also, funnily enough, I'd been on furlough, but then I interviewed for a management position and I got it, which was great, because I think they still saw something in me, but because of that, that incident, I kind of went back into my shell a little bit, but then still applied for this job. And they were like, yeah, I think you'll be really great as a manager. And I did a whole year of management training and becoming a manager. And that's when I really realized that, yeah, I really enjoyed, having one-to-ones with people, getting people feeling really good, working on their mindset, their goals. And so all this was sort of clearly leading to somewhere, which eventually led me to obviously full coaching and realizing what that was available to me in my life. So it's kind of swings and roundabouts, because having that sort of breakdown, I do call it a breakdown because I feel like I literally just stopped. All I could do each day during that time was I made it my mission to just go for a walk and get dressed and do my teeth, like brush my teeth. And that was like the aims of the day. And I used to write a little ta-da list. I used to call it ta-da list, like ta-da, this is what I've done today. And yeah, it would just have those basic things on it, but that's all I could manage at the time. And I think it was just crazy just to go from such a manic sales environment, stress, telephone calls, Zoom calls, meetings, to absolutely nothing. And it was just a really interesting, well, in hindsight, it was a really interesting time. But I'm really glad that it's that thing where the silver lining is that because of that happening, because of me then becoming a manager, because of furlough happening and the company sort of shifting and changing with the working from home. And then, like I say, with me then becoming a mental health first aider, it just really opened my eyes to other opportunities in the world. Like there's other things that I could help people with. So from that, I kind of, evolved from mental health. It then kind of went into like helping corporate women with stress. And then from there, I sort of have evolved again lately into more of an empowerment stance, really helping women with their confidence, because to me, I kind of didn't want to focus on the negative sides of like the anxiety and the stress, even though I know it's really important. I wanted personally just to focus on forward focus. I wanted to think about more like, how can we push people forward, see their full potential, see their worth, and make sure that women aren't stuck in these environments that aren't really right for them. Because a lot of people, yes, will thrive in a corporate environment, men and women, but I realized that I was actually probably a person that's quite spiritual, but I was kind of stuck in the spiritual closet because there was no one in the organization I felt I could talk to about what I was dealing with, or I didn't read like similar books to people. I wasn't into sport. Like it was hard to even find commonalities with co-workers. So it got to the point where even though I was trying to maybe work in a different part of the organization, not sales anymore, I just didn't feel like I fitted. And that's when I landed into coaching.
That's amazing.
I'm so glad I did.
Your journey is amazing because it outlines classic career burnout. It really does, because it's like you're like a round piece being forced into a square slot, and it's very hard for you to find your way because this isn't innately you. You perform very well, right? You're getting the accolades, but it's not innately you. So that's amazing, amazing, amazing. Tell me, Heidi, were there a few signs for you before you felt that like the classic burnout, like I don't know, I can't do this. Were there any signs that you were getting to that point of like complete burnout?
Yeah. There actually was quite a lot of things. The main obvious ones were definitely the overworking, so just consistently but almost the attachment of that to prove myself, to feel like I had to prove myself in this role. So I was really like conscious of getting all my work done in the day. I had my work phone on me 24/7. I had my emails on my personal phone. I rarely took a break from my computer. I wasn't exercising. I didn't go outside. This is all happening between the months. Like I signed off in the November. So it was sort of like autumn time. It was September, October that I was clearly suffering from the summer. So it was definitely obviously all around work. But I think also what I hadn't realized is I was also probably, because I was so into the job, I was actually blocking friendships, like relationships, even family. I probably wasn't seeing people as much, probably just saying, oh, I'm sorry, I'm so busy, I've got this new job, and just using that as an excuse to just stop everything else. And it got to that point where you just think, this can't be my life. I can't just like, everything can't revolve around work. But at the time I thought it was the absolute everything. Like my career was everything to me. And I just hadn't been enlightened to what else life could mean. I think at the time I felt like I was almost a bit brainwashed, because I was just brainwashed by money and brainwashed by achievement and being told I was great in an environment, and was just thriving off that praise that you mentioned. What I haven't mentioned as well is, at the same time, I've been going through, my mum had been diagnosed with bowel cancer. So I think, and she's now terminal. So I'm still going through that. It's been a while. It's been a journey in itself. So I think when I went to the doctors to tell her, I broke down obviously at the doctor's surgery, just crying in front of my GP. But I think she was like, hold on, what's happening in your life? And I was like, I've got this new job and this stress, and my mum's got bowel cancer, and da, da, da. And she was like, how are you even surviving? She's like, the fact you're even going to work, the fact you're even showing up, like the fact you're trying to do this X, Y, Z. Obviously I did theatre, so I was still in theatre shows. Like I really enjoyed doing like amateur dramatics. So I was in like a musical theatre event at the time. So I'd started, I did a bit of like cheer dancing as well. So I started that at the time. I used to just use busy as a way to ignore everything else in my life. I used to use busy as an excuse to just ignore my feelings, ignore how I was actually feeling, and just be like, it's fine, because I'm just going to let that out by doing a dance show, and that will be my outlet. And it's not really the same thing. And it's taken me a long time to realize that. But yes, I think there was a lot going on, and at the time it was, that's why I questioned it, like, should I even be taking this promotion? My mum's ill, like it's not really like, but they were like, it's fine, we'll do it, you'll get through it, it's fine. And I was like, yeah, I'll get through it, I'm strong, I'm this, I can do it. And it's just, you just tell yourself this story that you've been leading that your whole life, that you're like, yeah, I'm strong and resilient and I can do all of this, and your managers are saying, yes, you're strong and resilient, we want you to do this. So you think it's stupid to not take it. You think you'd be offered a promotion, you'd think it's stupid to not take it. But again, in hindsight, what a lovely thing hindsight is, like, I probably shouldn't have done, and if I'd really thought about it, like it was, but then it woke me up. So there's a reason it happened. So hindsight, we ignore hindsight, because actually I needed to do it. I needed to go through that process. I wouldn't wish it on anyone, but sometimes you do need to have that. You do need to have
to stop and take time to reflect. Sometimes you do need that. You really do.
Yeah.
I love when you said I used busy to deal with things. How important do you think it is to really deal with things emotionally versus using busy? Because when you said that, I said, wait a minute, maybe I use busy a lot too.
Yeah, we all do.
Yeah.
I think we all do. And it's so important it's okay to obviously be busy and have a life and have a social life and do the things that you enjoy. But you shouldn't be using them as a way to sort of ignore the bigger things in your life, or ignore the pain that you need to kind of go through. I think it's having, become a coach and work on people's belief systems and intuition and their energy. I think you really do need to work through your emotions. I was someone that I used to get very emotional in terms of like watching a Disney film would like, make me cry. But that was like a trigger. And obviously, Pixar's very good at doing that. But it's only really in the last couple of years since all of this has happened that I really allow myself times when I can feel emotion coming, and I will just let it out. I don't think, oh no, like no, like this is, I've not got time for this today. Like no, if I feel something, you need to feel it. Like you need to allow yourself to feel it. You can't use busy as an excuse with your feelings, because you don't realize how much your body is like just as important as your mind, just as important as everything else, if not more important. And we don't realize that it's probably by not letting your emotions out, that's part of you that you're not, part of your kind of authentic self or true self that you're denying yourself that. And also you're probably blocking something. So you're actively blocking something from coming out, which then links to your energy blocks, and it means things aren't in alignment, and it literally all just flows down to a million other things, basically.
Absolutely. And I had an interview, and we were discussing how if you hold on to emotional trauma and emotions, it will affect you physically. So it is very important to feel what you need to feel and let it out, because if you don't, it's going to affect you physically. Absolutely.
100%.
Yes.
as part of my coaching, again, it's quite bespoke depending on what people need, but we also do a lot of like on forgiveness, and we do like a forgiveness ritual, or I can give people some forgiveness journal prompts as well. But sometimes it's that where it's like that we're not doing it because we can't forgive ourselves, or we can't forgive someone that's affected us in that way. But that's a really lovely way to release. And what I'd also say, if people aren't like energetically happy or physically happy to release, then just doing some journaling is a really good way to release. So sometimes I don't want to necessarily admit my feelings, so I'll just silently write them down, because it's still, obviously it's just as powerful, to be honest. Journaling is really powerful, but at least like it's just hidden and no one's going to see that. It's a way I can just escape to my journal. So if you're not into, you're crying and your big outbursts, or your aggressive outbursts, or however you want to like in your home be, then I always recommend people to pick up journaling, because you can just write about in the first thing in the morning, like, how do I feel today? How do I feel tonight? How do I feel in this scenario? Or reflect on a scenario and kind of, I get people to kind of go back through scenarios in there. There's also an emotion technique that I use as well. They'll go back through a scenario in their heads, and they're not telling me what it is. It's all, we're doing it on Zoom, but it's all in their mind, and they're not having to tell me what it is. It's very private. But afterwards I'll get them to journal from like a first, second, like third person perspective. So they're kind of constantly kind of detaching even further from that scenario. So sometimes there's just there's so many different things that you can do to let that out and move on. So it doesn't always have to be like some physical outburst.
I like that. I love that. I love that. Now, Heidi, take me back to the day when you said, I am done with the corporate world. I am transitioning to being a life coach. That's it.
It was such a terrifying but also very empowering day.
I'm sure.
Yeah, it was last year. So I handed in my notice in July 2021. And I started my first day of self-employment on the 1st of September. So basically the end of July I handed my notice in. But yeah, the month leading up to me handing my notice in, where I'd kind of made the decision, I was working actually with my own coach at the time. And that's what was helping me. I think I was going through a lot of beliefs around success and achievement, because obviously that's where my corporate had come from. And I was really kind of rooting down into, things that happened in my childhood and where I was getting all this from. And she was able to help me sort of rewrite some of those beliefs into empowering beliefs. Nice. And that's what basically got me to say, oh, wow, I can do this. I can actually do this. And she did support me in the sense that she said, like, I was only 28 at the time, with no children and no ties. And she said, if you are able to support yourself and do this is the best time to do this. She's like, because once get married and have children, and you will end up being stuck in corporate. And I was like, no, I won't. I'll make it happen.
So right.
I was like, when I'm 40, that's when I'll do it. And she was like, you say that and you might, but like, if you have the chance, why are you not taking it? So it was so interesting, because that's when I really was like, oh my gosh, like, okay, why not now? And I think it was a really, really empowered decision to make. I think the organization that I was working for they were really happy for me, but they were also very shocked that I was deciding to do it so soon, because I didn't qualify as a life coach until December. But what was happening is that I joined my program in May, and because of the type of job I was in with the sales and the management, I still didn't really have to, even though I'd gone through that breakdown, was still probably going through some burnout, because I was still working. It was a very intense job at the end of the day. I'd learned how to put in boundaries at work and support myself with my mental health, but the job itself was still very demanding. So I just couldn't give very much to the building the business in the background. So I was like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it properly, and I'm just going to quit. So I did. And then in September, I just ramped up really quickly, like qualified in 4 months, because I just put everything into it. And then got my first client in January. So I think it just was meant to be.
It sounds like it definitely was, Heidi.
So it was obviously, it was terrifying, because it was like, it's all on you.
Yeah.
But as long as you're doing the mindset work and you are doing everything in alignment, and to me, it was just having that freedom and flexibility to be on my own schedule and finally work for myself, which is a dream I've had since I was young. I always dreamed of having my own business, but I just thought it would be, when I'm 50 and I've worked up the corporate ladder to some sort of, biz exec level, executive board level, and then I'd be able to become a consultant in something and do it that way. But I never knew that this would be possible. And then, like I said, it just kind of, so when I got my first client in January, I then was like, okay, I need to focus more on empowerment. I need to get other women who are like me, either stuck in their corporate or have a side hustle, or at the start of their journey into self-employment, or they're in the closet about it, they want to do it. And that's kind of, my coach helped me with that all those months ago, and that's exactly now what I want to help people with. Have that courage, help with their belief system, get them going, because if I can do it, you can do it. Like, this is what I don't understand. Like, if I can do it, other people can do it, because I don't know. Like,
I love it. You're living proof that you can do it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Heidi, how can we find you online?
So I'm mainly on Instagram. So my I'm at Heidi High _coach. So hopefully you can find me there under an empowerment coach. I'm more than happy for you to add me as a friend on Facebook under Heidi Leju. And I do have a Facebook page, Coaching with Heidi. That's my business name, is Coaching with Heidi. But yeah, mainly on Instagram, to be honest. And then I have links on Instagram to other things, but Instagram is my main hub.
Your main hub. Okay.
My main hub. And my links on Instagram, I do have a mailing list as well, called the Empowered Woman mailing list. And I send out emails every Friday. So if you obviously don't really love social media, like, you can jump on Instagram, grab my information, and then if you'd rather have an email, that's that's an option as well. But yeah, Heidi High _coach on Instagram.
Okay, nice. Very nice, Heidi. What is your last takeaway that you would like women who's listening to know?
Okay, can I give a couple?
Absolutely. Take it away.
I wrote some down. So I thought you might ask. So I just want, the first thing is just to be kind to yourself, because that's something that I still don't always do. But I know, based on the journey you've just listened to, that it's really important that, you are the first person that needs to, other people might not be kind to you. Other people might judge you. You need to be kind to yourself and really only listen to you. That's all that really matters. Things do take time. So I don't really believe in the overnight success. I am not an overnight success. I'm still, working towards that. But also everyone's, idea of success is very different. And that's something I've had to work on myself. And as always, it's okay to reach out for support. So when I was going through that time, I had friends, I was reaching out to friends, certain members of certain colleagues that I felt I could resonate and speak to. So whether that is a friend or a colleague in your scenario, whether it's something like a therapist or a coach, just depending on what you actually need, just don't think it's not okay to reach out, and always just keep going, because it always feels hard. There'll be tough days, but you just have to keep going. I've keep learning that. I'm now 7 months into self-employment, and I'm still building an audience. I'm still, still doing that, but that your future self will thank you if you keep going.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Heidi, it was truly, truly a pleasure meeting you. And thank you so, so much for chatting with me.
No, thank you so much. I've really, really enjoyed it. Thank you.